Hello, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, I stumbled across the New York City Comic Con event, saw something on Facebook, and actually ended up watching both the panels for Discovery and Picard, which were being streamed. There wasn't really any information. They blocked out the preview, so we couldn't see anything. Um, Basically, they just talked about their characters, how they felt, their motivations, how the characters worked, how they blah blah blah. It was interesting. There was a lot of a lot of smoke blown, and some asses kissed. But the actors do generally seem to like each other, and I like some of them, so it was fine. I mean, who doesn't love Doug Jones? So it was okay. But I had to wait about an hour for the previews to come up. There's a preview for Discovery, which is a minute and 10 seconds, and a preview for Picard, which is, how long is it? 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So it doesn't show a lot more than the other preview, but it does spend a bit more time with sort of each scene, and we don't really find out much more than we already know. Now it starts off with Data in Picard's wine vineyard, so obviously it's a dream. No sign of Q, just seems to be his dreams, or he's dreaming of Data, who's painting a painting of a girl standing on a cliff over the ocean, and he's saying, he offers Picard the brush. He says, "Do you want to finish it?" He says, "I don't think I know how," and he says, "You do." And during this, they're showing a space battle, and well, he wakes up basically, and we don't really know um, if that, yeah, we don't really know. We still don't know what's going to happen. We don't know all the details. We basically assumingly that is part of the Romulan disaster that he sort of retired over, and he wakes up. Number one is there, his dog. He says he tries to find safety, but you're never safe from the past. And then the girl shows up. She needs help. He goes to Starfleet, and he meets with an admiral, and he basically says, "This is wrong. I need to help her. We need to help her." And she's like, "There is no we, Picard. This is not your house anymore. Go home, old man." Um, and of course, he's not happy with that, and he's not going to settle with that because he's Captain Picard. So he goes out and finds people, finds a crew outside of Starfleet, a bit insurrection-y. Except instead of the crew taking off their uniforms and jumping in a shuttle, he finds a crew. He finds someone who's good with fighting, someone I guess good with science. He basically just puts a crew together, and they show shots of the Vasquez rocks, which I think they're actually showing on Earth. So they're actually showing them, but showing them as themselves instead of trying to make them to be an alien planet or something, which I guess is one nice last way perhaps to show them instead of using them in every movie like an alien landscape. So where am I? I'm not really happy with how the Admiral treats him. I'm not really happy with the idea that Starfleet sort of ignores him. But we have seen how bureaucracy works, so it's not really that shocking. He puts the crew together. Obviously, they go out. We don't really see them save the day or anything. We see them going at warp. We see them working together. We see the girl meditating. We see the other crew members talking about her, saying she's sent here for a reason. I mean, it all just leads up to the best part. I mean, God, am I leaving anything out? We do see future Earth. We do see lots of shots of future Earth, which looks good. It looks a bit like the Star Trek The Motion Picture sketches that they originally were going to do, and they didn't end up having the money or the time to really do a lot of the cityscapes. Picard says the past is written. We're left to write the future. And it goes into the dramatic music and a legend never leaves a fight. We see old bird of prey fighting, and it looks like a computer game. It doesn't look like real effects, whether that's early effects or whether it's a game or a historical archive or something. I don't understand why there's an original series Bird of Prey in Picard, but it'll all become clear one day. We see Picard sword fighting. I think it's when he's being taken by the Romulans. But it could be in relation to recruiting the Romulan who is a fighter. I guess he needs him for his skills. We see Seven, and Seven has been involved in whatever's happening with the Borg. She's holding someone in her arms, probably Hugh. We probably see Hugh die because it looks like we see his body in the trailer, but I assume he was being operated on, experimented on. He may possibly die, and that's actually his corpse. And we see her. She's basically a rebel, and she's got two guns blazing, and she's like, I help people who don't have anyone to help them. So she's not in Starfleet. She's fully human, I guess, and she's a missionary or a rebel or something, and she's there to help Picard as well. We see lots of shots. I'm not really sure what they're in relation to. We see a girl looking out a window on a stormy night. Just a whole bunch of different things. I'm not going to try and analyze it all because there's no point, because you can't work out what it is just in a trailer until you actually see the show. And I hate it when people sit there and speculate. And I'm like, why? You have no idea what that's actually going to be, and what's the point? Like, just wait and see it. Oh yes, here comes the best part. He turns up at the Rikers. So it's very much like Generations, where Kirk is up in the woods. Riker's in the kitchen. His kid yells out, "Dad!" And he's like, "Stop yelling!" And she's like, "It's Captain Picard." So he's like, "Whoa!" He comes in, and it's like shock and awe. He's greeted by Deanna. And we see a nice little scene at the end of the trailer of them sitting on a dock. A bit like the first scene, one of the first scenes in Star Trek Deep Space Nine, in the holodeck, and they're just sitting there, and he's just Riker has his arm around Picard on the bench, and he just says, Picard says, "I'm glad you're not trying to change my mind," and he said, "I've learned not to do that, not to try." So that's really good. The characters are back. We do see characters. They do seem to have developed. They have had lives. They have moved on. I kind of wish they were just on the ship, being themselves. I kind of would like to think 20 years from now they're still serving in Starfleet, not retired with children, but I guess that's what straight people do. I'd stay in Starfleet forever. I wouldn't settle and have kids. Obviously, I'm gay. What does he say? We all have. Oh, that's right. We all have a story waiting for us to claim. And we see them on the dock and that, and it's nice. Now, I had a real problem with the Discovery trailer. I found it really upsetting. They destroy the Federation in the future. There is no Federation. It's like Andromeda, and the idea that if you believe it's canon, they killed the Federation. They killed Gene Roddenberry's vision, and it just doesn't exist anymore if you believe this is canon and this is really Star Trek. So Picard looks good, but it kind of means nothing to me knowing that in the future, for Discovery, there is none of this matters. They're all destroyed anyway. So it's just, that's what nihilism does. It ruins everything. That's what dystopia is. So I'm trying to enjoy this trailer and Picard, but with the Discovery looming over it all, it's kind of hard for me to really get into it. But I did get the member berries. I did get some goosebumps and excited to see Riker and Deanna. And it's weird because I've met all these actors after the show, and now they look like the people I've met, because they didn't quite look like they used to in the show, of course. But now I'm watching it, it's like it's them. It's really weird because they're being domestic. They're not in uniform. They're just in their kitchen and that. So it was kind of interesting, and I just felt a lot of emotions. Like, wow, they're back. That's what they're going for. That's what they're doing. And they got us. They got me with the member berries. The visuals are interesting. The effects don't look that great. It could just be that they are early ones. They just have to get something for the preview. The show is premiering January 24th, so I'm guessing we'll see it January 25th, 26th, which is my birthday, or my old birthday, which I don't acknowledge anymore. But technically, yeah. So I'm kind of getting a little bit of a birthday gift, maybe. So I am looking forward to it, but I can't look too far forward because once we go past the 25th 24th century, I mean, what is there? I mean, the 31st, 32nd century, there is no Federation. It's all destroyed. It's all for nothing. So that's the issue I now have. I'm trying to enjoy Star Trek knowing that it's all destroyed in the future and that there is no future. Gene Roddenberry's future has been destroyed. So, see, I'm trying to even do this preview and it just seeps in. I'm trying to talk about this show and it seeps in because it's just, that's why I hate Discovery. But this, on its own as a show, through the preview, looks good, looks promising, looks like it is fighting for the ideals of Starfleet, taking on real issues, and using the original crew. We even see Picard and Data in the original uniforms from Next Gen. Basically, they were told, use anything from Next Gen, license the hell out of it, just use anything you want, because eventually we're going to go back to CBS and Paramount being together, and Star Trek will be reunited, so that's the universe we want, not Discovery. So they do seem to pull out of the Discoveryverse, although we do see a little bit of tech that looks like Discovery. But we see some shuttles that look just like the ones in Discovery, so maybe they're just old shuttles that are still hovering around, which that's fine. But yeah, trailer looks good, emotional, series looks promising. We do see the Borg cube again and a little bit of that, but not much. They don't really go into it. It's more emotional, more about the journeys of the characters, which is what I hear the show is more about, the journey of the characters, and it's more psychological and emotional and not so much action orientated and, you know, twists and turns and just trying to surprise and subvert expectations, and you just sort of sit there waiting for the next thing to pop out rather than really thinking about the story and living with the characters and how they feel and everything. So it looks promising, and I'm just going to try and forget about Discovery and just consider it a totally separate universe, because I cannot acknowledge it because it gets me down. Because I love Star Trek. I believe in that future. It's something that gives me optimism and hope for the future, and the idea that it's not there, that someone actually has destroyed it, I can't handle. So I'm just going to pretend like Discovery doesn't exist. It's just in another universe and focus on Picard. So let's just look forward to it. Please feel free to leave me any comments or anything you know, or if you have any opinions. Comments are good. Feel free to like or subscribe, but comments are best because I just like to know what people think. I do this because I like to talk about Star Trek, and it's nice when I actually get some conversations out of it. I get conversations out of my Madonna videos, but not so much out of Star Trek. It's usually Facebook pages I have to go to. But I'm going to go. I've talked for too long. Thanks. See ya. Bye.